welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Sent.
I'm Sil.
And we're talking about Married at First Sight, Season 15, Episode 11, Alexis and Justin.
Yeah.
So, as we said before, this is the episode where we get to see an expert try to do something. This is Dr. Pepper's episode where she comes in and tries to intervene where the problems exist. And we're going to talk a little bit with you guys about how she did, what happened. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
So the episode opens up with actually the tail end of the dinner that we saw from last episode, from episode 10, where Alexis got up and walked away in dramatic fashion and Justin walks outside.
Yeah.
So they're kind of
It hurts. It hurts. It still hurts. You know that part.
Anyway, to see the resolution or the attempted resolution of that outside. So Alexis comes over to talk to Justin. He's kind of standoffish. She's like, "Oh, how you doing?" You know, really kind of annoyed, I think, still.
Of course.
And honestly, guys, you know, you let us know what you think, but I didn't feel like either of them was genuine in that exchange.
No.
So Justin didn't want to be honest and say where his sarcasm was coming from. When they were sitting at that table and Justin said, "I just find it strange that you don't have anything to say," he meant that some type of way.
Yeah.
Now, he did not admit to that. He didn't address it. You know, he's just saying, you know, I felt like I was concerned. He almost like put it off as like he was concerned about her because she's usually this bubbly person and she has something to say. And he felt like she didn't want to maybe put him out there, say something bad about them, because she had like bottled up, and she was quiet. And so he asks her if, you know, can you see that from my point of view? Do you understand why I would feel like that? And she's like, yeah, I do. But for her, on her end, she's like, well, if you're concerned about me, then formulate the sentence in that way. Yeah. Basically, like, you made it like you wanted me to tell about your progress.
Yes.
And not asking me, like, am I okay? What's going on? You're not checking on me.
Yes.
And what she clearly wasn't honest about is that she didn't think that he had made any progress, which was what she said last week in the confessional.
Yes.
So she didn't want to say what she really had to say. She kept that in, and he kept in how he was feeling about that. They squashed the issue in the moment, but they didn't address the issue.
No.
So they hugged it out. It was kind of weird and awkward, like all of their physical contact is.
Yeah.
But that was that. So
it kind of ended with a fizz, you know, and I think both of them had an opportunity to really, you know, be real with one another at that particular point. But they passed on it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what a lot of couples do.
They do. I mean, you heard Alexis say, "I don't want this to be a thing."
Yeah.
And we have probably all said this before. Like, rather than have something get bigger and heated and more emotional than what it already is, let's just kill it where it is. But in that instance, they missed an opportunity to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you honestly have to lose in this situation? This is somebody you barely know, to be fair. Yes. Sure, you're married to them on paper, but you really don't know them. So it serves your best interest to just say how you really feel.
Very true. Very true. You can say just about anything you want to, as long as you're respectful with it. You know, it's how you say things. And so they chose to pass. Why? I don't know why. I think maybe the emotions were just running high that night, and they just didn't want to make it any worse than what it already was. And so they decided, hey, let's squash it. Let's move forward.
Yeah. So, one thing that I do want to address, I'm going to jump to Dr. Pepper in just a minute, but what we also saw before we get to the expert portion is the guy-girl breakdown situation talking about Ben and Morgan.
Oh, okay. You want to do that now? You don't want
to do that? Because it's in sequential order.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. Okay.
So the next scene that we really see before we get into the specifics of Alexis and Justin is the girls talking to Morgan, the guys talking to Ben, and they're kind of breaking that down. And Justin is completely team Ben. He doesn't see anything in Morgan's point. Mm-hmm. He's just all team Ben, which I don't know. He just still seems way too invested in Ben for my liking. It's uncomfortable.
Okay, why? Why is it so uncomfortable?
Because he's
a bromance. Why is that so uncomfortable?
Well, for one, because it doesn't seem to be reciprocated.
Okay.
Ben is not that into Justin's marriage. He's probably didn't even like Justin, honestly, after what he's caused in his marriage. This is causing Ben a whole lot of stress. He's already said he lost 7 pounds. Like, and it's been a short amount of time, so that's a lot. But Justin has inserted himself. He shared something with somebody who doesn't know how to keep a secret. Yeah. He's done that more than once. And it's damaged his relationship more than once. And this time probably beyond repair. Yeah. So it's interesting for me to see Justin be so emotional about Ben. Be so, I don't want to say hostile, but very negative, very judgmental, if nothing else, of Morgan. Yeah. However, not actually addressing the real problem in this, which was Alexis. And her running her mouth. He never said anything to Alexis. No. He never tried to correct her. He never even questioned her. Not any that we saw. Yeah. And saying, why would you do that? Like, if I share something with you in confidence, and this is my friend, this is your friend, Ben, you think he's your friend? Don't do that to him. Because in doing that to him, you're also doing it to me. Yes. You're making me be a bad friend. Yes. And that's not the place that I want it to be.
Yes. Well, that's the lack of respect that she has for Justin in full display.
Maybe, but he has to demand that. At least address it.
That's true.
I shouldn't see him cuddled up with her while they're sitting here in the middle of HELL, and you're fine with what your wife did when you know good and well that she inserted herself where she shouldn't have. I take issue with that.
Yeah, I feel you on that one because as they were going through the whole thing and they're asking, first they were talking to Morgan, the women were, and then the men were talking to Ben. My question is when they all kind of like got together, nobody said, you know what, Alexis, you know what, that was kind of foul what you did. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you mean the ladies?
Yes, the ladies.
The ladies weren't going to say that because they're hearing a one-sided story. Yeah. They're hearing from Alexis. They're hearing from Morgan. Yeah. They're not understanding, I don't think, the way that story fit together. They may not have even understood until this whole process was over.
Probably so.
How that story fit together. Probably so. I see them siding with Alexis, siding with Morgan. Mm-hmm. But Justin knows what happened. If nobody else in this situation knows everything that happened, Justin does. Because everything's filtered through him.
Yes. But did you notice? Still, with none of them addressing her, but I get why you're saying they didn't. Mm-hmm. But conspicuously silent was Alexis. She had nothing to say in that whole exchange. Yeah, nothing.
She knows what she did. She knows what she caused.
Threw the dog on wrench right into the machine and stepped back and let it just fall apart. Come on, man.
All right, so now I will move on to talking about Dr. Pepper's encounter.
All right, let's talk
with the two of them. She sat down with them, asked them how things were going, and of course, Justin is crying. Now this time, I am sympathetic.
You are?
Yes.
Okay, why were you sympathetic this time?
About his pet.
Okay.
It wasn't just like random tears for nothing.
So he had a reason to cry this time, in your opinion?
I think so. I felt bad for him.
Okay.
I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Uh-huh. But he's crying. He said it's been an emotional day. Mm-hmm. And Alexis has to share with Dr. Pepper for him because he's so tearful what happened, which was that his dog, Maya, who's been in that doggy daycare training camp type thing for a number of weeks, she wasn't doing well. She didn't respond well to the training and was still aggressive. And I thought they were going to say that they had to put her down. Yeah, so I was glad that they didn't say that. They said they were going to keep her working at a farm. So I guess maybe she works well with like herding cows or I don't know,
Something,
whatever
yeah.
dogs do on the farm, and he shouldn't come back and get her. So I think that's pretty devastating. He said he's had her for 7 years.
Yeah.
And since she was a baby, a puppy.
Yeah.
That's emotional to me.
Yeah.
I think I would be sad about something like that too.
Yeah. I get it.
You don't care.
Yes,
You're
I
so
do.
mean.
I really do. People, I really do get, I do get why he was upset, honestly. But when he was, when he was sitting there and he's very tearful.
Yeah.
And Alexis is telling Dr. Pepper what the deal is. The expressions on his face, though, what can I say about it? It wasn't a good look, okay? That's what I'm gonna say. It wasn't a good look for him to have those kind of female expressions on his face with tears flowing.
Now I gotta go and rewind it and see what female faces he was making. That's cold-blooded, baby.
It is what it is.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, they moved on to talking about their relationship. Alexis was talking about, I think, the dinner that they had, and also, I think, in terms of what they talked about this episode before, when they were at their own table in their own apartment, when Justin sounded really defeated.
Yeah.
She was saying, acknowledging that he sounded defeated, like he didn't have enough time, like they couldn't recover or come back from it.
Yes.
And she said, I didn't want to hurt anymore. So the best way for her to stop hurting is for her to forgive. So they started over. They started fresh.
Yes.
What do you think about the ability to start fresh in a situation like this?
I think it's good if she truly means it. And I don't believe, as they say, forgive and forget and all that. I don't believe in that. You always are going to remember to some degree. Maybe the pain won't be as bad after a little bit of time, but you're going to remember. And so she said, choose to forgive. And like I said, I embrace that totally. However, it still does not give room to deal with what they need to deal with. And I think on a fundamental level, she just doesn't like Justin.
Yeah.
And then some of those things, what I'm about to say, I'm going to save it for just a second because I know you're about to cover it, and I'm going to piggyback off of what you're about to say with some of the things that she was saying in the session that she had with Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
and this is going to tell the tale on how she really feels about Justin, and Justin her analyzing herself and how she deals with certain things. Okay. So
okay. So moving on, talking about Justin and to him about how he felt, and he was saying he felt alone. I think just because the way that their arguments break down and the way that Alexis shuts down on him, or he perceives her to be shutting down. And he said that gave him kind of some insight into how she feels when she feels alone and shut out.
Yes.
He acknowledged, I guess, that he sees her as being very strong. He sees her as having an alpha.
Dominant.
An alpha and a dominant personality. And so it's hard for him to recognize that she's also sensitive.
Yes.
I get that. We talked about that a little bit. It's difficult for a very independent, a very strong woman like Alexis to show that vulnerability. And I know you want to jump in, so I'm gonna let you jump in before we talk about her response to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I think, especially when you're raised a certain way, and she is so much as said the way she was raised.
Right,
and things
all strong women.
Yes,
never saw her mom cry.
Never saw her mom cry. That's huge. But nestled within that, she also said that vulnerability and sensitivity was weakness. Tears, crying is weakness. That's how she views it. And that's how she was raised to view it. And so here she is with a man that's crying all the time. Extremely sensitive. Who is vulnerable to the hilt. And so she obviously, some kind of way, has that conflict in her. is, you know what? They paired me with a weak man.
Yeah.
You know, and she's struggling with that. But she didn't come out and say it verbatim, but just in that analysis, yeah, I know it has to be some type of conflict in her to be like, wow, this dude is weak.
It is. And she said it basically last week. I think it was last week when she said, we can't both be sensitive. We can't both be crying.
Yes.
And that's true. I mean, I think that rings true for most of us ladies. If we're with a man who we perceive to be weaker than us, softer than us, somebody has to feel that dominant role. Somebody has to be the alpha. So if it's not going to be you, it's going to have to be me.
Yes.
I mean, what that does to the relationship dynamic, I don't know. Theirs isn't great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a challenge.
Yes. It's a huge one.
Yeah.
And especially if they're not at this particular point able to talk about it in a constructive way.
Yeah.
You know, the relationship is doomed.
Yeah.
As far as I can see. It's just like you can keep just covering it up with dirt, but just a little bit of wind is going to unearth it over and over and over again.
Yeah, it will. And yeah. I mean, I want to add to it, but I can't even really add to it. Now, Dr. Pepper, she's the one who kind of asked the question. She drew it out of Alexis, how she felt about sensitivity, vulnerability, etc. And then she tried to finish that up by telling her that there's strength in being vulnerable.
Yes.
I don't know if that resonates with her, though. She spent all these years of her life being conditioned to be the way that she is. To have Dr. Pepper come in and make this like very blanket statement, I don't know how much impact I think that truly will have on her, especially when she's dealing with a man who's so overly sensitive.
Yes.
I don't know how she's going to resolve that within herself while dealing with a Justin.
Yeah, well, I think she was trying. I'm not going to jump ahead. I think she was trying throughout the episode to kind of like come to grips with that. But it's going to take a whole lot more than that one little session with Dr. Pepper for her to overcome that within the confines of this marriage. In order for this marriage to work, they need some weekly sessions with a professional.
A different professional from Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
So when they go to the scene where Justin takes Alexis to where he grew up, he kind of talks a lot about his brother raising him. I think from the point that he was 13, his brother was only 19. I actually, in seeing them in the first couple of episodes, I thought his brother was quite a bit older than him. But apparently he's not, or Justin doesn't know how old his own brother is. I don't know. But
it's possible.
It is possible.
Yeah.
So his brother, it doesn't sound like he did a very good job, and I don't fault his brother because it shouldn't have been his responsibility as a teenager to take care of another teenager.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a heavy burden. He said his brother said a lot to him in growing up, figure it out. And he probably told him to figure it out because he didn't have the answers himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't prepared to be a dad to him. That leaves Justin with literally no male role model, no real influential father figure. That's all he had. And he was left to his own devices. So there's a lot of things that he's probably very delayed in socially and emotionally. That's why I think that he can't cope with things. And his go-to is to start crying. Because he doesn't know how else to deal with anything. He hasn't learned how to like man up to a situation, meet it where it is. He's going to kind of retreat. He's going to bottle up. He doesn't have the confidence to address it head on. And the next thing you know, tears. That's how children deal with things.
Yeah.
And he's stuck in that childhood mentality, I think.
Yeah. I you know what? I think you're absolutely right on that. Sometimes when the dynamic is when a male bear is raising a male cub.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I don't know where we're going with this one.
Listen. Sometimes that male bear is going to be way too domineering and powerful over that male cub. And so sometimes you can look at it from the outside looking in and you can be like, okay, male bear raising a male cub. So the male cub should come out just as powerful and as strong as the male bear, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes that over domineering, powerful person is just going to beat this person into submission.
Yeah.
And
to
I
suppress any kind of bearhood that it could have.
Yes.
Or manhood.
Yes.
So to speak. Okay,
yes.
I get that.
So instead of Justin growing up to be another male bear, he's still a cub.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Pretty much. That's what it seems like. He also talked about how flying kites was his outlet, which just made me facepalm. I'm like, God, Justin, no. Oh my goodness. And Alexis, she may not have actually palmed her face on camera, but you could feel the face palm. She's like, I didn't think we were going to be flying kites, but this is my husband and I just have to accept him for who he is. Yeah. And as we were talking about earlier, like her dealings with him, that's what swung me back into that mindset of she can't respect him for who he is and what he does. And she just looks at him like, oh my God, like what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be able to get over that. It's a lot. Like I would not fly kites with you. I'm just not going to do it. And then that goes again to our whole theory about him still being a kid. Yeah. That's where he's stuck.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit sad to me.
Yeah.
But it's extremely unattractive, I think, to Alexis, and it would be to almost any other woman.
Yeah, but I think, okay, when me and my wife were talking about this, and I asked her, I said, so you wouldn't fly a kite with me, or something like that, and her response was, well, yeah, with you, because the things are kind of like, it's not like with Justin. Justin exudes
I don't remember saying
so
yes
much.
To this.
Yes, you did.
No, I don't remember saying I would fly no kite with you.
You would. Or you said it would be like different. Or maybe I made it more of a general
Maybe you
term.
Made it up in your head. That's what maybe you made.
Term.
I said I will fly a kite with a child because it's a child.
Okay.
Not you.
Not me.
With our baby, yeah. I would fly a kite with the kid. But no,
I don't want to fly a kite. So let's get that straight. I don't want to fly. I have no desire to fly a kite.
But I take your point.
Okay.
Not indulging Justin in where he already is in terms of him not really embracing being a full adult,
yes,
masculine man.
Yes.
It's like, no, I'm not doing this with you in particular.
Yes.
Because you're already soft enough.
Yes, that's what she said.
I didn't say any of that. That's what he heard. But I get the point that he's trying to make. And I understand it's even worse to fly a kite with somebody who you feel is overly sensitive, underly masculine.
Yeah.
It's off-putting.
So it's off-putting, and it would seem like it's just kind of feeding the monster a little bit.
Yeah. So
I can understand that.
With Alexis and taking Justin to her childhood, she takes him to the basketball court. Looks like she can hoop a little bit. What is it? I'm no hooper. So I don't know. It looked decent to me. I'm an athlete, but I don't play that sport. So
she said she's played, but she hadn't played in a while, and that could have been some of the rust she's kind of like showing, because I haven't played in a while either. And so I can kind of like respect that, if you haven't picked up a ball in a while.
Yeah.
But
it looks fine to me. Go more power to you, Alexis. So she looked like she was beating him, and he's a good 2 feet taller. He said he hooped too. So anyway, she sits down with him. She shows like some old pictures, yearbook pictures, which he makes jokes about. They're trying to have like a lighthearted time. And then she reads him her letter or poem or something that she gave a name to it. I guess that's why I'm calling it a poem. But essentially, she's just talking about her being hyper independent. How she once was trying to carry in like 1 billion bags of groceries, like all of us have done at one point in our lives. And her roommate offered her no help. And when she asked for help, her roommate said that she never ever needed any help, so she stopped asking for it.
Yeah.
So that's like her just kind of telling where she's coming from, why she is so hyper independent. And then she said that was something that she was working on.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was listening to that, just put it in terms of the relationship. To me, it was sounding like Justin. When I do need help, I don't think I can depend on you because you're not strong enough to help me. And I don't think it registered with him, but that's what I was listening at.
Okay.
And
I didn't take it like that, but I think that's a legitimate point, and she probably does feel like that. I took it more so just like she learned not to depend on anyone, period, Justin included.
Yeah.
But
I got that too.
Yeah, sure.
But I read into it a little bit more too.
But someone like Justin would not inspire your confidence.
Yeah.
To depend on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I get that. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
In terms of Dr. Pepper, how do you think she did with this couple?
I think she did, I don't want to say horribly. But yeah, that's what I'm going to say. She did horribly, I think, with them. I think she did not address the whole dynamic of, first of all, Justin being overly sensitive and how that's reading to Alexis and her being unable to respect him because of that or to like him on certain terms. And so I don't think, obviously, like Dr. Pepper says, when she goes in, they've been keeping me up to speed on everything. I've been watching some of the tapes or whatever. So she knows, she sees what we see and more. And for her to kind of like go in there and not address the elephant in the room, she's doing them a huge disservice.
Probably a disservice, but I also think like that's something that you can't fix. She couldn't have fixed that sitting down with them. Yeah. She could have addressed it, but there would have been no resolution. Yeah. If her saying like, listen, your personality is such that Alexis almost cannot respect you. She has her own issues of her own that she needs to work out. Her tendency to run from relationships, her hyper independence, just how she comes off very abrupt and condescending. Sometimes, right, her over involvement in other people's relationships. Yeah. Like, I mean, I can name a whole list of things that Alexis needs to work on. Yeah. But these seem like things that can be changed more quickly than Justin adjusting from being as emotional as he is. Like, he needs emotional growth that is not going to happen in the next 3 weeks. It wasn't going to happen in 8 weeks. That's a struggle. That's quite a mountain to overcome.
True.
So maybe that's why she didn't even get into it, because she knows that that's something that can't be resolved. That's something that they would have to work on throughout the course of their marriage if they would want to stay together.
I get it, but still, if you're an expert, show that expertise. I mean, and since that's such a huge thing that we've been able to see week after week, I know she's seen it. Yeah. So you got to some kind of way address it. And even if she can't come to a clear resolution, by which most therapy does not come to a clear resolution, especially not under one session. And so she could have given some things for them to work on. And I mean, I love the note, coming from the perspective of your adult self to your young self. I get it. But that's not the help that they needed. They needed some for real counseling and setting up some things that they were going to be working on day after day, week after week, to be able to address the big issue that is problematic for this couple right now.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let us know what you think. We spent a lot of time coming down hard on these two this week, but I don't see it going in the right direction. I see them trying to sweep under the rug the issues that are present just to get through this. But beyond that 8 weeks, I don't see anything happening. But let us know what you guys think, if you think they have a chance. Team Justin, Team Alexis. Can Alexis play basketball? I thought she was decent. So. Let me know, because I don't know. Anyway.
How you going to throw a layup like that? You can't throw a layup.
It was like a little hook, like from the side. I don't know. Anyway, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.